A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into the Lion Country.
That was a pro move,
Goon
dude.
Ironhead show. Trying to get everything caught up. Yeah, we do business right up until
Holy
the
heck.
moment of airtime here. We welcome you in. Listen, it is a busy week. This is fun week for Penn State Wrestling fans. Iowa coming into the Jordan Center on Friday night. Fun week for Philadelphia Eagles fans.
What?
And Saquon Barkley fans. Quite a performance by both on Sunday. And, of course, the Eagles are playing. Oh, look at that. What a surprise. It's the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. This will be Super Bowl 59. I sat down and really thought about that earlier today. And it kind of depressed me.
You see the commercial on Sunday? I believe it's Doritos. And
give me more.
It's Gronkowski. And he goes, I can't wait for Super Bowl Live. L-I-V.
Yes.
And I didn't catch it. And Carrie's like, do you know what that means? And I was like, I really wasn't paying attention. She goes, L-I-V is the Super Bowl Roman numerals. And I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's great. That was a good one.
That is
good play.
Yeah, good stuff. Lots of directions we can go. Lots to get into today. I think we'll start with the big news for Penn State football, and it's one of those, Goon. I need to start. I need to start more vociferously expressing the things that can't happen when it comes to coaching situations, because very early on, right, like pretty much within a few hours of the announcement that Tom Allen was not returning as defensive coordinator, was going to Clemson, the two names that quickly seemed to get floated out there were Al Golden and Jim Knowles. And I'm like, well, you folks are nuts. Like, there's no way Penn State gets either of those. And it reminded me, and I'll go into what it reminded me of in just a moment. I'm like, Knowles, I mean, yeah, it'd be great to get him, but he just won a national championship with Ohio State, which is the one school that I don't think Penn State can compete with financially. And so I'm not sure why Knowles is getting thrown in the hopper there. And Al Golden, there's just I could not envision the scenario where Golden would come and serve under James Franklin. It just didn't seem like a good fit for either, given the circumstances where both were in on the Penn State job when Franklin got it and Golden didn't. It just, neither of those I gave much credence to. I'm like, well, that again, both would be nice hires. I'd love to see either in that position. And then, of course, as the days go by, ebbs and flows on what you're hearing about different things. And then all of a sudden it's like, no, Penn State's really making a push here for Jim Knowles. Oklahoma's making a big push. Ohio State's trying to keep him. But when you started hearing that, I'm like, well, listen, if Knowles is seriously even considering this, then there's something that he's not completely happy with at Ohio State, right? Like, if you're happy and you're like, man, we just won a national title, this is my dream gig, like, you might entertain conversations, but you're not actively talking back and forth, Oklahoma, Penn State. So I'm like, all right, there's something here. And of course, at the end of the day, Penn State turns over a boatload of money and brings Jim Knowles in. And, you know, I think it's, to me, it is, like, I love the hire on multiple fronts. But I think it is almost as much symbolic as it is anything else. And that's not to say, I think Jim Knowles is a home run hire. Like, I think this dude is legitimately, if not the best, certainly on the top 2 or 3 best defensive coordinators in the country. And I don't think there's much dispute about that. So it is a great hire from a coaching perspective. It is a great hire from the fan base, because Pat Kraft and James Franklin are telling you, listen, we are all in. Now, it doesn't guarantee, and I've had some discussions. It's like, well, it's national title or bust. Well, that can be the perception, and that can be, again, it is hard. And you go back and look at what Ohio State did, and kudos to them. They got it fixed after that Michigan game, and it was an amazing run. It really was through the playoffs. But they certainly had some bumps in the road.
Yep.
And so, yes, I think Penn State is all in on trying to win the national title next year. I like their chances. I think Penn State is going to be right there. But Ohio State is going to be an interesting watch again this offseason to see what all now does transpire. Oregon is every bit as in as Penn State is in terms of, man, we want to win a national title now, and you tell us what we need to do, and we're going to do everything we can at least to make it happen. And listen, Michigan, I think, just in the Big Ten, we're talking about, I think Michigan is going to be kind of back all in here as well. And then obviously you throw in the usual candidates, Georgia and Texas. We'll see what Alabama. Does this season. I mean, there's a lot of other schools that could work their way into the conversation. But, man, I love the hire.
Yeah, so do I. I really, really do. I was with you this time last week saying, I mean, that would have been Tuesday or Wednesday after last week, right? That was the national title game Monday night.
Yeah.
And then, geez, Luis.
Yeah.
Here he is 8 days later, and he's in state college. I didn't think it was a possibility because of it being a lateral move, and that was the simpleton's answer. But, with Penn State being all in like that with the financials, I mean, I don't know if Ohio State was looking to move on from him. I don't know if that's the case, or they didn't want to match what Penn State was offering, which is, hey, it is what it is. I mean, it's not the first guy to win a bidding war.
Yeah.
But the Oklahoma thing was crazy to me because his wife is from Oklahoma. He had an offer to go back to Oklahoma. He had coached at Oklahoma State before. So he had a chance to go back there. So it was a question of Oklahoma, Penn State, or Ohio State. So, I mean, when Penn State comes with that number, the highest paid defensive coordinator in any football.
Yep.
Professional. I'm sorry, Vic Fangio makes 4.5 with the Eagles. So he is the third highest paid defensive coordinator in football in general. I do like the hire. It's a guy who's going to walk into a room and instantly it's shut up, listen, this man has won national titles. We need to do what he says. So you're going to have a quick buy-in. There's not going to be any kind of like selling point like, wow, this guy really gets us. No, it's a buy-in from the start from the players and the defensive staff because this guy has that kind of lineage. Yeah,
and I also – and listen, he has a lot of talent that's coming back. We've spent a lot of time talking about the talent that's coming back on offense, and there is a lot coming back there. Still hoping we're going to see a big time receiver enter that locker room. And, I would think there's somebody out there that's looking at this like a big time receiver and saying, my gosh, I really could be the reason that this program gets over the hump. And when you see the fan base and the whiteout, you see what Kotelnicki did this year, you see Drew Aller. I don't think it's a given, but I do feel like they're going to get another piece in here to add to the two that they already brought in via the transfer portal, but a piece that's like a clear number one. At least that's what I'm certainly hoping. Yeah. But I really do kind of have the feeling that is out there. That news will break here later in the spring.
And that's a huge thing. Well, because I'll give it to you. I mean, I do have a lot of people who contact me and say, okay, we didn't lose to Notre Dame because of the defense.
Yep.
Okay, we lost to Notre Dame because we didn't have one offensive wide receiver catch a pass. Okay, and then there was some errant. Saying the defense didn't lose a game is just a blanket statement. But I would have liked to have seen that tended to a little bit more. I know it was tough being in the playoffs to go out and recruit guys and stuff like that. maybe there are some. I mean, they did announce a couple of guys that they bought in yesterday, but there's not like that one guy who's going to walk in and be the clear number one.
Right.
And that is what Penn State needs right now. And you're right. Is there a guy out there who's going to say, you know what? Why don't I contact Penn State and say, hey, you know what? I'm the clear number one. I could probably make this happen. So you know that there's guys out there who were thinking that and feeling that. And, you know, it's just a crazy world, Head. Just a weird, crazy world. You know, you're looking at you know, the Ohio State guys are coming out right now and saying that these guys are being offered, you know, $2 million and $4 million, and they're not even in the portal. And it's like, see, that's the issue I have right then and there. That in itself, right there, they are no longer even in the portal. Smith is being offered upwards of $4 million for his services for 1 year, and it's like he's not leaving Ohio State. So why is that even out there? And who's giving him these numbers? Like, because that's not legal, and that's one of the things that needs cleaned up, in my opinion. That's how I feel.
You would think, though, a number one receiver would form a really close bond with the defensive coordinator.
Hey,
that there would be.
I mean, they have a prior relationship.
I mean, I'm just saying that's.
Hey, he reached out to me to say congratulations, and I reached out to say, hey, what's going on? How much for you to come play here? No, but again, it's just this is the world we live in, and you know there are things that need fixed on this. And then you know what? This is not what we're used to at Penn State. This is something new that you know since the old man left in 2011. I mean, you know, we are in what other schools have been dealing with since the 70s and 80s, probably.
Yep.
You know, we're in bidding wars. We don't have the coaching loyalty that Joe had and stuff like that. And,
yeah.
You know, hey. It is what it is. But I mean, as soon as we, you know, went down the Franklin path of the new locker rooms, the new uniforms, this and this and this and this, and that's when we threw our hat in the ring, and that's when you know it wasn't going to go back to the way it was, and that's fine. It's James Franklin's program, it's Pat Kraft's athletic department, and they're going to run it the way they want. And frankly, they're doing a heck of a job right now. I mean, I'm a Pat McAfee guy, and he had about a 4-minute blurb yesterday just going off on how like Penn State is all in. They got the Knowles guy coming in as DC. You know, Pat Kraft's there. You know, they're not just winning games, and they're winning national titles. He goes, they're playing national semifinals in football. Women's volleyball wins a national title. Hockey, basketball is getting better. All this and all that. I mean, everybody's in. I mean, and there's another thing called wrestling. That's a pretty good sport here at Penn State and pretty national. That you know what they do. So I mean, I like what Pat Kraft and James have been doing, but I love what Pat McAfee was saying how much he likes what Pat Kraft has done with this athletic department.
Yeah, and I don't even know. It's interesting because I think fans sometimes get caught up in the like it is okay to not like the changes and the way that the world is. It is also okay. Like, I don't know that even Pat Kraft or James Franklin, like if you sat down and got truth serum in them, I think they would both tell you, no, this is not the way college athletics should be set up. The thing about it is if you are a competitor, like you can sit around and complain and man, this isn't the way. And like Dabo Swinney, and we're not going to take transfers and all of that, you know, initially. Well, okay, certainly your prerogative,
yep.
But if you're a competitor, if you want to compete at the highest levels, again, you cannot like it. It's just like, you know, if there are rule changes in the NFL, you cannot like that there's, man, they're calling pass interference way too easily now, or they're not calling holding enough. They're, you know, too quick with the flags on the quarterbacks anytime you touch them. You cannot like all of that. And also, you better be coaching your guys how to handle the world that you're living in to give yourself the best competitive chance. Again, I don't know that Pat Kraft and James Franklin necessarily love the way the world is set up here in college athletics, but I think both are looking at it as like, hey, it's my job to make Penn State, Pat Kraft, my job to make Penn State across the board as competitive as I can. in whatever sports we're going to continue to compete in. And right now it's all of them. Again, I don't know how long that's going to be the case for any of these universities, but and James Franklin is like, his job is right to make Penn State the best it can be, Penn State football the best it can be. So you can complain, and I have. I'm like, well, this is over the top. I don't know that we need this. I don't begrudge James Franklin asking for it. You know, my issues have been more on where the board has acquiesced, and I don't really even begrudge Pat Kraft, because again, his objective here is to produce a winning and profitable athletic department. James Franklin, a winning and profitable football team. That's the job. So, and they are dialed in on it. I mean, I don't know how anybody could question whether or not Pat Kraft or James Franklin are all in. Now, again, they are not the only ones that are all in. And I think this is where sometimes it's well, we want our team to win the national title. Well, right. But, and we want a coach that has that and we think can do it and all of that. Yep. You and, realistically, there's probably about 20 to 25 programs. I mean, there's 100 and some that are like, yeah, we want to do that. But I think Rutgers fans are probably realistic enough to say, yeah, it's pretty unlikely. Although after watching Indiana this past season, I don't know, maybe even the folks in the lower realms of college football dream about those big opportunities.
Rutgers has the second toughest Big Ten schedule next year. Just to put that on paper. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think Rutgers is about to go on a run like Indiana had this past season. It was unbelievable. It really was unbelievable. One of the truly great stories in college football this past season.
With that said, I am very interested to see how they do next year, because this was not a great schedule they had this year. We know that. That's the big thing. We all understand that. But where they're at next year, do they make that next step to being competitive and being in the top quarter of the Big Ten every year? We shall see.
Well, and there's going to be a couple of things that I think are going to be fascinating about next season and how it all plays out. Because if you were not aware, again, from day one, I think most folks covering college football agreed that Ohio State had the most talented roster in the sport going into this season, throughout the season, even after the loss to Michigan. I think if in terms of just talent, NFL caliber talent on the roster, Ohio State, there might be a few people that put Texas or Georgia or I don't know who else, but I think overwhelmingly people are like, yeah, that Ohio State roster is absolutely stacked.
You know what got me about Ohio State last year? Middle of the season. The offensive line is horrible for Ohio State this year. They lost their center, and then all of a sudden it become a dominant offensive line.
Well, how about Notre Dame and what its offensive line did through injury? Like that is... Yeah, there was something there about the way those programs were able to withstand that.
Any league, it's depth. I'm sorry. Depth, specifically in the offensive line and defensive line, because those guys get chewed up. I mean, you're seeing in the NFL right now, the Eagles missing Cam Jurgens and Dickinson, and those guys get hurt, and they have to come back and play hurt, and one goes out, one goes in. I mean, I got to give a lot of credit to Penn State, to Franklin, and the way his program is right now with the depth right now, specifically on that offensive line.
Yes.
I mean, Jeff, we got 7, 8 guys with starting experience there who I'm completely fine going to war with any of those 5. That's fantastic.
I'm with you. On the expectations front, though, so if you're not aware, I think most people are, but Ohio State finished not third. They were 4th in the Big Ten this year. So it was Oregon, Penn State, then Indiana, then Ohio State. For whatever it's worth, again, the way the schedule's played out and everything, but still, like fourth best team in the Big Ten at the end of the regular season. All forgiven because you win the national title. I don't think there's anybody, right, with any fan base, or very few. There might be a knucklehead out there, but 99+% of the fan bases. Would you rather go undefeated in the regular season and then have a tough loss in the championship game, or have a couple of losses, not go to your conference championship game, but win the national title? Well, pretty easy
Spread
call.
it out like we did. Have one of each
for everybody. Let's go ahead and take the national title. What I do think is going to be one of the fascinating storylines next season is so with each win, right, pressure is going to kind of mount. I think expectations will mount. If Penn State gets through the regular season undefeated, wins the Big Ten title, and let's say gets back to the Final Four and then loses, I don't know what the feel. Yeah, I don't know what the feel around the program is going to be, either in terms of James Franklin or just because listen, going undefeated through a regular season now in college football, even with an easy non-conference schedule, and Penn State has cupcakes galore. I get it next season in the non-conference. It is an accomplishment to get through the regular season undefeated is a big deal. But I do think Penn State now has the same feel to it. I don't know that they have quite the same talent that Ohio State did going into this past season, but the same feel in terms of, man, this is a championship or bust season. The flip of that is if Penn State loses what I think will be the whiteout game to Oregon early in the conference schedule, again, it's just going to be interesting to see how the fan base reacts. Because, again, we now know you're in this new world, but we're going to get back into there we go, big games again. And, again, all would be forgiven for sure with a national title. It's just how the program and the fan base navigates the regular season next year, to me, is just going to be a fascinating watch, regardless of how it plays out. Because if they're winning, and within any fan base, and certainly within Penn State's fan base, there are Franklin supporters, like all in, man, that's our guy. There are Franklin anti-Franklin folks that it's like, no matter what this guy does, he can win the national title, and we still think he's a bum, he got lucky, whatever. And then, I think there's a good chunk of the fans that are like, no, we think he's a really good coach. I don't know if he can win the big one. Again, if they go through the season undefeated next year, there's going to be that section of fans. It's like, yeah, so what? That's what you're supposed to do. You had everybody back. You got the two great coordinators. I'm not impressed. Go win a national title. And again, if you lose a tough game, semifinals, championship game, see, I told you, it's still not enough. If you go, again, undefeated and thump everybody, pound Oregon, pound Ohio State, roll your way through, and then again, get one tough game in there, it's just going to be interesting to see. Now, hopefully, Penn State just runs the table, wins everything in the regular season, runs the table. And listen, I think they'll have a chance to do that. Like, I think they will be one of probably 4 or 5 teams that you feel like, if they stay healthy in the right spots, have a legitimate, really good shot at winning the national title next year.
Well, I mean, the schedule's much tougher. We have Oregon and Ohio State.
Schedule is much tougher.
Yeah, the conference schedule, I get it. We got Ohio State on the road, Ohio and Oregon here. I get it. That's 2 huge games. Do you get in with 2 losses to a top 5 teams? And that's the same thing we're going to run into. But it is a whole different world. I mean, we are in a different world now where it's like, okay, look at Ohio State. The losses, those losses were not the end of the world. I mean, as much as they thought it was, but it was not. This was not 1980, 90, or 2000, 2010, or 2020 college football. This was the new age where you got to get in. And is it weird to you that Ohio State won the first ever 4-team college football playoff and the first 12-team college football playoff? Man, that's good on them, man.
Yeah.
I mean, they realize what's going on. And again, Jeff, I got to go back to it. That guy having an argument with me saying Ohio State lost to Michigan on purpose. And I'm like, oh, wow, is that true? I can't believe you. And then I might go back to the argument of there's no way in effing hell they would do that just to get a bye or a spot in the playoff of not having to play in a Big Ten title game. This is the argument the guy had with me, and I just laughed at it. But I will say, if it wasn't Michigan and how heated that rivalry is, there may be some kind of maybe 2% chance. With it being Michigan, there's absolutely zero chance they threw that game. That's just funny the guy would say that, and every time I do bring it up, I do have to say it because I do laugh at this guy's argument that they wanted to screw us by having us, and I'm like, how are they screwing us? We're playing for a Big Ten title against Oregon, so. That's your argument is you go through the whole year next year, undefeated, number one in the country, and lose in the Final Four. That's pretty much what Oregon did this year. Ran the table in a brand new conference, which was very impressive.
Yep.
First year in, won the Big Ten and Big Ten title, regular season and title game, but then they get absolutely butchered in their first playoff game. So do you go to that and say that was a successful season, a great season, this and that? I mean, where are the Oregon's fans' heads at? I know where Ohio State and Michigan's fans' heads are at. And that would be like, well, we're national titles. But, I mean, is Oregon on that? They never won a national title, so we don't know. Are they on that angle, on that level? And we do know that Phil Knight wants a national title. He's 83 years old, so he's going to do whatever it takes to win one.
I had a crazy let me run this by you because I think it's fun. I don't think there's any chance, especially I think they need unanimous consent to make any changes for next year. But let me run something by you here. If you had, and maybe this is a no-brainer, and Ironhead, you're an idiot for even suggesting it. I don't think so, though. This is what I want to run by you. What if the committee selects the 12 playoff teams, okay, based on it's going to remain the conference champions and everything the way it is. And again, if not next year, and I don't think it would be next year because of the rules that are in place. What would you think about this notion if we stayed in the 12-team format? And again, I think we're changing to 16. I think it's going to come pretty quickly after next year. But if you stayed with the 12-team format, what if you gave the number one team, because the other thing I want to get into is if you're Penn State, how badly do you really want to be where Oregon was going into the playoffs? Meaning the number one seed, bye week, sit around watching everybody else play, and, potentially, let's say, a rematch with an Oregon or an Ohio State, potentially in that quarterfinal round. I think that's interesting as well. What if you gave the number one seed, hey, you have the choice. You tell us where you want to be. Seeded, placed in the tournament. You're number one, you can stay number one. You can drop down to 2, 3, or 4 if you want, or you could have a home playoff game in that opening round and get the 12 seed out of the gate and be the number 5 seed. It's your choice. And then the number 2 team, you can't go where the number 1 team picked, but you have, and so on and so forth.
That'd be crazy. Pretty awesome.
It would be a little crazy, right? But wouldn't it be? I mean, I was thinking about it.
Looking at
this year, I have too much time on my hands apparently on the bus ride back from Rutgers. But this is where it started. I'm just like, because we've been talking about, is it fair? Well, what if you gave the teams, the coaches and the programs, the choice?
Yep.
Because Oregon, they were upset, man, this wasn't the right path. All right, well, you get to choose your path. You earn the number 1 seed. Do you want that? Or
do you know the ranking of all 12?
Well, you would know the yes, you would know the 12 teams that are in. Now, you're not going to know if you're picking, right? You're not going to know necessarily. You know where they're ranked. You know which each team gets to pick behind you. But if you're number 1 and you go to number 5, like presumably number 12, like 10, 11, and 12 are going to be 10, 11, and 12. Not, well, yeah, from 9 down. But if you're the number 1, do you like automatically say, well, this is idiotic, of course, we're going to keep the number 1 seed? Or do you think, because I think I would be very tempted. You know what? I appreciate we're the number 1 seed. We'd rather have the home game and continue with our offensive rhythm. We'll slot ourselves at number 5. And then if you're number 2, would you want 6 or no? It's like, no, we'll take number 1. I think it would be interesting.
You're talking about if they have 5 weeks with 12, with 16 teams or 12
I'm
teams.
saying this is with the 12 teams.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with 16, it's
then you just
it's 116.
Now you got me thinking now. So,
but if you leave it at 12, what if you just gave those top seeds? Because Oregon was very upset. Man, this wasn't a fair path. Okay, we give you the choice. I wonder how many teams would actually say, well, and again, you're not going to know. You're picking first, so it's not that you're getting to get the matchup that you necessarily want. And if you go to 5, I think it's pretty safe you're getting the 12 ranked team.
But why would 5 play 12?
Because that's what the first round is: 5 versus 12.
But the
6 versus
buys.
11,
Okay.
7 versus 10, and 8 versus 9.
We are still going to have the buys. So now I will say that the health of your team will be an issue. And they were saying, you know what? I mean, personally, playing the Big Ten title game and then 2 weeks later having to play a first round game. If we play the Big Ten title game, are they still in there or are they still out of it?
Yeah, that next year it'll still be. Okay. I'm in a hypothetical world where I'm applying all of the real world situations, except I'm throwing this caveat in. I mean,
the 4 teams who had buys lost that first game. They lost.
Correct.
Out. So obviously that is keeping playing, staying on, keeping on, and playing means something in my world. Now, you could have a late in season like Notre Dame had with a couple late injuries type of thing where you're like, you know what, we do need this freaking bye.
Yep.
Well, they don't have the ability to go up to 1 through 4. Oh, geez, imagine that now. But yeah, so that's.
I don't know. I just think it'd be fun. It would be interesting, and I don't know how many teams would. Like, if you're the number 1 seed, are you really going to say, you've earned the number 1 seed? You're really going to say, no, you know what, we want 5.
No, you want.
I don't. I think.
I know.
I think I would.
I thought that we played better. I was glad we didn't have that time off because I thought that we didn't have that again. But historically, we do not play well after bye weeks. Dopey. Oh boy.
They're getting all kinds of praise.
That's Mrs. Shopey. What's up, Mama? How you doing? I miss the man. I miss Yopey too. Yopey's our equipment back in the day.
I know.
Yeah, good man. Good man.
I know.
All right.
We're going to take a break here. We are back with much more on our Tuesday afternoon edition. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times. times, great food. Get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on a Tuesday afternoon with a busy sports week. May talk some more Penn State football here in a bit, but I do want to turn to the NFL and talk some Eagles and Steelers. Steelers trying to figure out their quarterback situation. Jalen Hurts, it is interesting to me, the discussions that we get into as sports fans about where certain people belong, what we think of these folks. And again, I mean, it's part of what makes sports fun is analyzing that stuff and throwing out hypotheticals. At the end of the day, I'm just telling you, I don't think Jalen Hurts gives a rip whether you rank him as one of the top 3, 5, 10, 20 quarterbacks in the NFL. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's going to be perfectly content. It's not going to matter. And we've talked about this a lot, Goon. Circumstances matter. And the circumstances you're thrown into matter. Like Pat Mahomes being teamed up with Andy Reid and everything they have. I mean, it is no question humming. It is impressive. It is also unbelievable. And I really am not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think the NFL is actually trying to get them there. It is unbelievable, though, is it not? How it feels like every close call. Yeah, this could be spotted here or there. We have officials disagreeing. Well, we're going to do the one that has them not favoring the team that the Chiefs are playing. That
seemed unbelievable to me.
It is unreal. It's like, well, all right, we both we disagree. One has it over the line, one before the line. It's the Bills. We'll go before the line with this one. Oh, look at that. Are you sure? I'm like, well, that's just amazing. And
Well, if you
a lot of close calls in that game that did all seem to go one way. And I know the whole you can call holding on every play. I am telling you, there were a couple of big plays where I'm watching, and I don't really have a. I mean, I'm rooting for the Bills mostly because I'm tired of the. Well, actually, no, mostly because I like McDermott and I like Josh Allen and the Buffalo fan base, but also I'm tired of the Chiefs. So, admittedly, I'm seeing it through that lens. But man, it was like every close call, and there were a couple of holds. I mean, I'm watching it, and like in real time, like, well, they got to bring that back, and nope, not a comment on it.
You were waiting for the end of the game to start making some blatantly, really obviously bad calls. I mean, you watched the Eagles game. Everybody's saying the Eagles got all of the calls in that game. What are we talking about here?
Well, can I just what Saquon Barkley did in setting the tone for that game?
That's awesome.
And I've seen I think we've talked about this before over the years too. It does crack me up when Saquon Barkley only had 55 yards on 14 carries other than that or whatever it was.
Yeah.
It's like, well, right. But that's what those running backs do. That is the difference, is that you can hold them to 3 yards a play, 2 yards here, 5 yards there. Oh, they got a chunk play there, 6. And then somewhere along the way, first play of the game or last play of the game, yep, they break one, 60 or 70, and Saquon sometimes 2-3 times does that. Well, that is, it's like saying, it is like having a baseball team say, well, yeah, we held that cleanup hitter. You didn't even get on base in 3 of the at-bats. And, and the other one of the other ones was a single. And yeah, what was the other one? Well, it was a 3-run homer, and they won 4-3. Well, that's what the home run hitter does. I don't know. It just always amuses me that we still see folks do that. Man, well, yeah, Saquon, if you take away that one run, that one run, to me, is what set the tone for the entire game. Like, it served notice, and then they had to, not that they weren't anyway, but they had to, where is Saquon? We've got one that helped open some other things up for the Eagles as that game went along.
Knowing what I told you about the 94 Rose Bowl, after that first play, it's just like, okay, the nerves are gone. Wow, we just scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
This is going to be super easy. I did not rest easy in that game until the fourth quarter. I'm not going to lie. Jaden Daniels scares me that much.
Yeah.
I mean, it was in the second quarter. He threw that pass to McLaren. He went across that middle on that slant. I said, oh, geez. And I was just sitting there, man, this game is not out. If they got it to 8, I said, oh, geez, this one's going to scare me. And then they just took over and just dominated from them. I mean, you kids can't beat, 4 turnovers. You just can't. That is the key to beating the Chiefs. The only reason the Bills stayed in that game was that one fumble earlier in second quarter, I think it was, and it was just like, okay, the Chiefs got a lot of momentum from that. If you can turn the Chiefs over, which is a very, very, very hard thing to do.
Well, it's really hard to do in part because I tell you, Mahomes, he really is just. It is unbelievable how smart he is. I know he had the couple of fumbles on the one drive there. So, yep, he is human. But, man, his decision-making and
field awareness.
And, his feel for, all right, pressure's coming here, seeing what the defense is giving, knowing where his guys are going to be. I mean, it really is. And listen, part of it is the Chiefs' game calling, too. Like, getting the ball out quickly, getting him in a rhythm early, all big deals in terms of why they continue to have the success they do. I do think this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I think this will be similar, hopefully with a different outcome for Saquon and company. But I think it's going to be similar to what we saw a couple of years ago. And I thought that was one of the great Super Bowls of all time.
Remember the field?
Oh, yeah.
Remember the defensive linemen could not get traction?
Yeah.
They could not get their feet in the whole game. And I remember sitting there and saying, this is the Eagles, the best part of their defense is their D-line. You noticed at the first play of the game the other day when Daniels got swallowed up in that first play. It's about pressuring the quarterback, staying in your lanes. It's going to be a little different field this time. It'll be turf. I think the guys will be a little bit better, and I love the matchup. I truly, truly do. And, I mean, yeah. Well, they lost to the Patriots in 2004, and they avenged that one with the BDN going out there a couple of years ago, and now they lost to the Chiefs 3 years ago, and now they're going to avenge this one.
Yeah.
They're going to avenge their original Super Bowl they lost to the Raiders in New Orleans, so they're going to avenge all of them. All family businesses are going to be taken care of in one fell swoop next weekend.
Well, I do. Yeah, turnovers, as always, are going to play a big part of it. But listen, I really do. I think Philadelphia has the edge on both lines. I think Philly's O-line against Kansas City's D-line. I think Kansas City's good there.
Yeah.
Not great.
Chris Jones is the best D-tackle in the league. There's bar none. Jalen Carter is the best three technique.
Well, I tell you, Jalen Carter,
unbelievable. He's absolute savage.
Yes, is like next level special.
Yep.
And when you look, when the Eagles need a yard or two, right, like that offensive line and their tush push and all of that, it's like it's hard to imagine that not being successful, them not being able to get the tough yards when they need it.
We just keep on trying it from farther and farther out. It's just like let's run. Do you know this? Saquon Barkley has been tackled in the 1 yard line or inside the 1 yard line 13 times this year, including Saturday, including Sunday.
I did not know that.
That's just get half of those. Give me 6 more touchdowns for him. He's winning the MVP. And they're all doing a tush push and giving Hurts has a dozen touchdowns. Crazy to think about.
Yeah, you do, certainly as a Penn Stater, but I think football fans in general do feel good for Saquon Barkley in particular. And really, I feel good for Jalen Hurts as well. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why we get. I guess to a certain extent, I do understand why we get fixated on whether or not he's one of the top four. I forget who was. It I don't know if it might have been Cowherd. I saw a clip on where it's like, well, Hurts is clearly the worst of the four quarterbacks in the semis, and it's like, well, that may even be true. And what does it matter?
What does it matter?
Because he makes the plays when they need him to make the plays. He understands what they're trying to do. And listen, his ability to get tough yards where you can't just key in on Saquon is not insignificant. And yeah, I mean, Patrick Mahomes and his magic is what it is. And I will say the one thing, and I was listening to Booch going into that game, and boy, he was spot on with, he said, you might want to keep an eye on Xavier Worthy because that's the guy that the Bills traded their pick to Kansas City. Kansas City went and got him. Do you think the Bills could have used a speedster like that to help out with their offense? And man, did Worthy have himself a game.
Well, did you know? I didn't know about the Mahomes thing with Buffalo getting traded also.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember that one. I remember he got traded down, but I don't remember he was there. But no one knew Mahomes was going to be Mahomes.
Nobody knew Brady was going to be Brady. And that's the thing with
no one did that.
The draft is like, sometimes you strike it big and sometimes, not so much.
Now we have to go back. I mean, we this is our 7th year, I believe, of the show, 6th or 7th year, where we've talked about I've eaten my crow when it comes to Jalen Hurts as a professional, because I have to go back to tell this story all the time. Jalen Hurts is my favorite college football player in the history of college football.
Yep.
People ask me why. And I say because he never once complained when Tua took his job and he got benched and he came back for the national title game, won the national title game, and then goes to Oklahoma after he graduates from Alabama.
Yep.
So he didn't cry when he got benched and I'm not starting, I'm leaving, I'm transfer portal and out of here. He didn't cry. He didn't do anything. He just went into this job. Now, the people who chop on him and hammer on him because he's an emotionless, what do you want? I mean, this is a guy who, anytime he shows emotion, he's cocky. Anytime he doesn't show emotion, then he's like, oh, he's dead, he's this or that. He can't really win right now. It's just, he's just, is he polarizing? I don't know what it is. I mean, he just doesn't have a huge outward person. Saquon has the smile. Yeah. And everybody just falls in love with Saquon. No doubt about it. But, you know, Hurts is just as marketable. You know, I don't think he has the personality, the gregarious life, or the gregarious smile that Saquon does. But I mean, it's really weird how Hurts does he gets hammered on by people. It's really, really weird.
Yeah, and listen, I think much like coaches, quarterbacks, like you just got to be true to yourself. If you're not the gregarious, outgoing, like you can't just pretend that that's what you are. And I think, there's something to be said for just being a steadying force in there. Now, I also, if you are a high emotion guy and that's your game, again, I think you need to be true to that. Yep. You need to learn, how to.
I noticed Shane Daniels doesn't smile, laugh, joke, get mad, cry, scream, nothing. He doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he
is cold-blooded, man.
Very cool. Yes, very cool customer as well. I do. Listen, I think this is going to be a fun Super Bowl again. I think it's going to be very.
I saw a highlight of that hold call late in the game the other day on that third down and late. Oh my God! I was like, how are you calling that? It made me madder than yesterday or today when I saw it. It got me mad again, all over again.
I'm with you. It just
don't do it the whole game and then you do it in the last 2 minutes. That's the worst.
Well, and especially when you go back and there were a couple of key plays that, if you go back and look, and I mean they're all over social media. You see Bill's defensive end being dragged to the ground, like ripped jersey, and it's in front of the effect. It's like, come on, either if you're going to let it go, let it go.
That was TK, you know that, right? Terry Killings was on the umpire job on Sunday, so not for the Eagles, for the Chiefs Bills.
So, listen, I'll be rooting mightily for your Eagles. I just
you're going to say that the Chiefs are going to win, though. Just say that.
Just want to see Saquon get his ring, and
but you're picking the Chiefs.
Yes. I think the Eagles will win big.
Oh,
I'm predicting the Eagles by 4 or 5 touchdowns.
That might be the meanest thing you've
ever
done to me.
I'd say the Chiefs have no chance.
That is the meanest thing you've ever said or done.
I think it's going to be a really, really fun, really entertaining game.
So I have a story.
And listen, the other part about it is I think Kansas City and Buffalo were the two best teams in the AFC. I think it feels like you have two extremely deserving teams. Officials' calls be darned. I think Buffalo or Kansas City, both very deserving of being there. I think the Commanders are maybe a year or two away from making a real run.
I mean, a huge upset of Detroit is what they did.
Huge. And you do start to wonder, and I'm sure there are people, it's just what we do. I'm sure there's people in Buffalo, they'll never win as long as McDermott's here. Or Josh Allen's a great quarterback, but he can't win in the big one. We'll see. You do wonder. I hope like crazy that the Bills do get there. I really did think this was going to be their year. And even as that game was playing out, when they tied the game, and even when the Chiefs had to settle for the field goal, I'm like, oh man, this is the opening. I think this is going to happen.
And then Kincaid drops the ball literally on the field goal line. I still cannot believe he dropped that pass. It blows my mind.
I'm with you.
God. It also blows my mind that they went empty, knowing that Spagnuolo always blitzes heavy on fourth down.
Yeah.
He wants you to get rid of that ball ASAP. So, I mean, we're watching that as a regular, as a layperson watching the game. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's keep our eyes open on that. But, yeah, it should be an exciting, fun game. So I have in the 17 Super Bowl with Foles. So I watched that down in Florida with my Super Bowl crew that I go away with.
Yep.
And the one guy I watched it with, he's from the little dude from Texas. And I was the only Eagles fan there. Only one there. And we went to a different room and we watched the game. And he knew every player on both teams that was from the state of Texas. It was unbelievable. I was like, this is what they mean by people love Texas. They love Texas and Texas alone. He's telling me all the players from Texas. Nick Foles is from Texas, obviously. So he's on the Super Bowl trip this year. The same guy. He called me. I called him. I said, let's go. And he goes, I'll be there. I'll be there. He's about 5'2". He looks like I could put him on my shoulder. He looks like Donkey and I'm Shrek. Yeah, so me and him will be watching the game. I got a couple other Philly fans with me too. So good luck. Trevor will be with us. So I'm feeling good about that, man.
It should be a very entertaining game. I can't envision either team getting blown out in this one. I think it'll be a game that'll keep the eyeballs on the TV set until the very end. And as neither an Eagles or a Chiefs fan, that's all you can really ask at the end of the day is, hey, provide an entertaining game that keeps us interested. And yeah, I would love to see it for Saquon in particular, the Eagles get over the hump and finish this one off. We'll take a break here. When we come back, we'll talk some Penn State Wrestling. Nittany Lions getting ready for a big dual meet against the Hawkeyes on Friday night at the Jordan Center. We'll also talk some Penn State basketball. Just a heartbreaking loss, and again, really puts the Nittany Lions up against it here as they kind of make the turn here toward the stretch run. They have got to get on a big-time roll, and it probably has to start Thursday with the Rec Hall game. So we'll talk about that and much more as we continue. It is our Tuesday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fall.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates, Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXS, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America. 98.7, the Fox State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we welcome you back here on this Tuesday afternoon. Quaker Steak and Lube, the all-you-can-eat wing buffet, will be getting underway right as we go off the air at 4 o'clock. You can come on down and enjoy a great selection of wings. Of course, Quaker Steak and Lube, great place to come on down and watch all of your favorite sports teams in action, whether it's hockey, basketball, football. Big game will be on down here at the Lube in just a couple of Sundays from now, and even wrestling. Big Ten Network matchup for Penn State and Iowa on Friday night, 7 o'clock duel at the Bryce Jordan Center. And
let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room there, buddy.
What's the elephant in the room?
Well, somebody's getting their head taken off. I'm coming for their heads. Book it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Gabe Arnold likes to talk.
Why?
I think it's good for the sport. Listen, the one thing
I love Starachi's answer. I like the other guy better.
I think it's fun. Well, I'll tell you, Ferrari, it will be interesting to see, actually, whether Arnold or Ferrari wrestles. They've got two great options there for sure. Iowa does. The one thing I understand whether or not you want to, poke the bear and all of that. At the same time, I'll tell you who definitely is not beating Carter Starachi is somebody who goes in there thinking they're not going to beat Starachi. Now, there might be people thinking they can beat Starachi and they go in there and they don't beat him either. That may happen to everybody, but guaranteed that you're not going to win that match if you don't truly believe that you're going to go out there and win it. Just as with any sporting event. Now, whether or not, again, you want to publicly provoke it, fair. But again, if you have that type of confidence, I don't know. To me, it's not a big deal to express it. They'll settle it potentially on the mat Friday night, if not potentially on the mat in the postseason Big Ten and NCAA tournament somewhere along the way.
So which Ferrari is this? Is this the really, really bad one or just the smaller bad one?
Well, this is Anthony, the youngster.
The smaller bad one.
Well, AJ's not at Iowa, so
that's right.
But yeah, so again, it'll be a fun dual meet. Should be a great atmosphere. I hope Drake Ayala is ready to go. Just you'd like to see both teams at their best, and have the opportunity to challenge each other with their best against your best. And I think at the end of the day, there's a path there for Iowa to keep this really close. I think it is a real long shot. Is there a path there? Sure. I mean, it's sports, and especially in a sport like wrestling, right? Like, the potential is always there that somebody could get caught. Like, there could be an upset for the ages. I think back to Dana Weber when he had Mark Ironside. I think Penn. They didn't call it, but so that type of a potential scenario, sure, where nobody's expecting it. Like, could Carter Storace get caught? Could Josh Barr get thrown to his back? Yeah, I mean, could it happen? Sure. And if something like that happens, or in one of the other matches where Penn State's heavily favored, you get again, somebody just catches you, gets a pin all of a sudden. Yeah, you win all the close ones, and you're right there. So do they have a path? Sure. I think it's very unlikely going in that Iowa wins it, but I think this will be by far the biggest test of the season to date. I thought Nebraska provided a really good test, and I think Nebraska has a really good team. I think that's a team that could finish in the top 4 here at the NCAAs. But Iowa has a little more top-end firepower. Yep. Stephen Buchanan is certainly a title contender. Obviously, Ja'Cory Teamer, ranked number 1 as well, is a title contender. I'm curious to see. I know Penn State fans are just presuming Messenbrink's going to go out and trounce everybody. I've been impressed with the way Mikey Caliendo's wrestling. Now, I think his style is going to play into Messenbrink, and if you're kind of an open wrestler and you go for it, Messenbrink tends to be able to catch it. So, I mean, you like the matchup there for sure if you're Penn State. But again, I think Caliendo has taken a jump up in his level this year. Now, again, whether or not he or anybody is at the level of Messenbrink, we might get a pretty good indication here on Friday night. But I think it'll be a good dual meet. I think good tests up and down the lineup for Penn State, and I think the atmosphere obviously should be a lot of fun. A couple of just interesting statistics just to give you an idea. I think clearly these are the top 2 teams dual meet wise, probably tournament wise this season. Oklahoma State may be pushing here. I'm kind of curious to see at the end of the season where exactly they end up landing, but feels like these are the top 2 teams. And really, for the last decade plus, these have been the top 2 teams pretty consistently in college wrestling. Over the last 6 dual seasons, just a little interesting note here. Over the last 6 dual seasons, Iowa has lost 4 meets. 3 of those 4 losses coming to Penn State, the other to Michigan last year. Penn State, of course, is going for its 9th undefeated season in the last decade, last 10 years. The Nittany Lions, only 2 losses in that 10-year span to Arizona State, out at Arizona State and then at Iowa. Iowa, the last team to beat Penn State. So these 2 teams combined over the last 6 seasons have lost, what is it? I think 4 meets, and 3 of them they've knocked off each other. So I might have that a little right. Yeah, 4 of 6 over the last 6 years.
Yikes.
Which, again, shout out to Michigan and Arizona State's programs, the only other 2 that got in the mix there. But pretty impressive stuff with what these 2 programs have established. And, of course, Penn State and Iowa have combined now to win, 15 of the last 16 NCAA championships as well. Penn State 11, Iowa 4, and Ohio State 1 during that time span, and obviously went uncontested there in 2020. So, again, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I'm hoping Ayala wrestles just because I think it'll be a good feel for Braden Davis again, win, lose. I don't know that that's as important as just getting that feel and kind of knowing where you're at, what you need to adjust one way or the other going into the postseason. And again, the matches that I'm most looking forward to, RK second teamer at 57, and then Barr getting a shot at Buchanan at 97. I think 49 has the chance to be one of the more entertaining bouts you'll see in all of college wrestling. Both Parco and Van Ness are capable of putting up a ton of points in a short period of time. Now, that bout could end up being like a 4-3 bout, but in terms of the action and the potential for scoring there, that bout could also very easily end up being, a 16-12 type of bout where both are just putting up a ton of points. Parco is really good in scramble situations and on the mat. Van Ness is too. Shane, of course, just very offensive oriented. Again, I think that's going to be a wildly entertaining bout as well. I think 174 and heavyweight both have the chance to be really good bouts, and 184 is certainly going to get the crowd into it, regardless of who I sends out. I think Carter Starachi will be feeding off of the crowd. The crowd will be feeding off of Carter Starachi, and one way or another, the Jordan Center will be rocking here on Friday night.
Do you think they'll change the lineup?
I don't know. I don't. But I'm reading a lot of the Iowa folks do think that they're going to change it up just so Starachi doesn't have the feel of Arnold or vice versa before they go to the Big Ten tournament. To me, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me unless you think, listen, I guess the caveat I would put to it is if you think you have a real shot of winning the dual meet, and it might be one of those situations where, like, hey, let's see where we're at with the dual meet. But if I'll go back to when Penn State wrestled Ohio State in one of the best dual meets you're ever going to see in college wrestling. And they put out Anthony Cassar at 97.
Correct.
They did it because they liked the matchup there. It's like, I just think this gives us a better chance. I think Cassar's tougher to score on, and it paid off. They upset the number one ranked kid in the country, and then that was the last time you saw Cassar, and Rashid wrestled the rest of the season because he'd earned the spot. I don't know enough about the styles and what they're seeing in the room and everything. The caveat would be if they are in the dual meet and they think they have a real shot to win it, and they just think Ferrari does present the tougher matchup right now. Like, man, we think this guy could go out and pull off the big upset, and just, maybe has a move that they think they can catch Starachi with, or they just feel like, style matchup wise, this gives us a better chance in this particular bout. So, I mean, it's possible. To me, if I'm Gabe Arnold, I want to get this feel now and know, all right, this is where we're at. This is where we need to make adjustments. And
he's not wrestled Starachi
and have
they
that,
never were the same
that
weights.
feel.
Starachi's gone up.
What's that?
Had they wrestled before?
No.
Nah. Now my question is will they change the lineup to make Starachi the last bout? They sometimes can alter and stuff like that.
I don't think so.
Because I don't think I would want that anyway. Because it's
I don't think they'll do that. My guess is I think both Brands and Sanderson tend to prefer to start at 125
and go up.
Now, the Big Ten Network could come to them and say, "Hey, we'd like you to do this," and maybe that would be I don't
see
roll
that
it out.
The chances of it being that the final match being the deciding match, I really don't. Do you think that's going to be?
I think it's unlikely. It's certainly within the realm of possibility. Okay. I mean, it's not like this far-fetched, crazy thought that Iowa could be right there. I think, the likelihood is, Penn State wins 7 or 8 of the bouts here on Friday night. But again, is there a path? If Ayala wrestles, could, from Iowa's perspective going into it, I think I was thinking, listen, we have the way Cruz wrestled this past weekend. I'm not sure that, listen, I was not willing to concede anything, but I mean, I think they think going in, Cruz could pull the upset with Lilidal. I think they like their chances a lot at 33 if Ayala goes. I think they like their chances at 49, at 57, and at 97. And then, again, if Greg's a little under the weather still, Keeter wrestled one of maybe his best bout as a collegiate heavyweight this past weekend against Ohio State, although I think Feldman's hurting. I just he's not moving the way with his neck and or back, whatever it is there. It's tough because I think when healthy, he's a guy that is, a top 3 guy, and probably right now it's going to be tough for him to get on the podium just with the injury situation right now.
Question?
Yep.
When do they have to make the announcement of who was wrestling?
Not until the
guy runs out.
Correct.
Is it not pregame run? I mean, like weights and stuff like that. They got to weigh in, or they all have to do
they
that?
can weigh in. Yeah,
So
they could weigh in both. I don't even know that they're going to try. I mean, again, I have no idea what Iowa's plans are. They may bring them and know that they're not going to wrestle them and weigh them in just to put it in, Penn State's mind. They may wrestle him. They may just put Arnold.
The guy can't go out and run his mouth like that on a Saturday and then not be even wrestling.
Oh, it has happened.
Oh,
it has
come
happened
on.
before.
He's just setting it all up. It's like a WWE. It's an MMA fighting right now.
I will say it was funny watching Todd Brands talk about Ayala because he just
you were telling me
he
that.
couldn't help himself talking. He's like, I really don't. I don't want to speak for him, and then he spent a couple of minutes speaking for him. He really wants to go, and I think he will go. But I'm out of my comfort zone. I shouldn't really be talking about it. And then he explained a little bit more about how he thinks he's really going to go and expects them and all of that. We'll see. Again, I don't know, the extent of the injury at all. And I hope for his sake. I really do. I hope he wrestles. I think it's good for the sport to get those types of matchups, Ayala and Davis, and all of these matchups that we're talking about on Friday night. But Penn State, I think going in feels very good about its chances to win, and I think, as with every match, and I'm not predicting a shutout here by any means, but again, I think Penn State, there is a path to a shutout against just about anybody. And the way Kasak and Barr are wrestling right now, those are the two that have the top-ranked kids in the country at their weight.
Yep.
I mean, Penn State, especially if Ayala doesn't wrestle. Again, the shutout is in play. Now, Iowa could very well win 3, 4, 5 bouts as well. But I'm telling you, Tyler Kasak has taken another jump during the season. And he had taken a couple of jumps from where he was last year, which was, again, 3rd in the country at 49. I think this is going to be a fun matchup with him and Teamer. And, the Buchanan-Barr match might be worth the price of admission in and of itself. Those two like to get out after it. I know Barr's the young kid here, and Buchanan the savvy veteran. But I think that is just going to be a very entertaining bout. And I think it's one that we're going to see 3 times this season.
Many moons ago, I went to a match. Karchi had me in a match, and it was Nichols' freshman year. It was Bo Nickel, and I called him Spicoli because of his hair. Bleached blonde. So I called him Spicoli forever, but he was my favorite. And I watched that Barr kid wrestle the other night, and I see a lot of that just like wild, crazy, like, was it 0-0 through 2?
I have never
22 points
in the upper weights. I've never seen anything quite like that, where you had a redshirt freshman break a senior so quickly in the 3rd period. Where again, you're going into the period like, man, this bout that could go either way.
Wow!
And I mean, he put up 5 takedowns in like 40 seconds, and then 7. In about a minute, and ends up
he's my new guy.
The quick tech fall.
What's his weight?
Which is just crazy. Barr's at 197.
Wow, so right there, right where I am.
So yeah,
he's in my fighting weight.
Exactly right. So yeah, should be a
piece of
fun
the
one
left
here
side. He comes get it
on Friday night, first of 2 Friday nights at the Jordan Center. And of course, Penn State basketball getting ready for its Rec Hall matchup. So we have basketball back in Rec Hall. We have wrestling over at the Jordan Center. Fun, mixed up week.
I asked you this before.
Yeah.
When does Iowa get in? They come in Thursday, like a football game. Then they won't come in like game day, right?
No, they'll come in Thursday.
Do you take the other announcers out, or when you go out on the road, do you guys meet up at all?
Not usually. I have gotten together with. I'm trying to think. I don't know if we get together at the venue. Steve Grace, who does their play-by-play, is just a terrific person, very knowledgeable, and I love talking to him and has a great family and all of that. And Mark Ironside, despite the whole blow up years and years ago, is just a terrific guy as well, and obviously knows wrestling inside and out, and has a passion for Iowa that is unmatched. But they're a great team. They really are.
Give me the blow up. What was it? Remind me at least.
Oh, it was
with you?
Nonsense. Yeah, because I was a little loud, if you could believe that. Yeah, it was when the Big Tens were in Illinois, and they have since done a better job. You just can't have radio broadcasts kind of right next to each other.
He called you loud.
The short of it.
I've seen it done.
Well, we'll go with that.
I've seen it happen before.
Yes. Penn State basketball, Goon. This game on Thursday night is a much needed W for the Nittany Lions. Now, that game last night,
furious.
Yes, it is. It really was just a real gut punch. And I know, it feels like they've had a bunch of those here over the last couple of weeks, but that one, if they win that, Goon, at the moment, like as we sit here today, they're probably in the NCAA tournament field. Like going into last night, they were looked at as kind of one of the first 4 out. I think that win gets them back in. And listen, it sets up, obviously, still a lot of work to be done down the stretch. That loss, though, now, they need to win like 3 or 4 to make up for it in terms of being back in that NCAA tournament field. Must win gets probably overused, but boy, this is as close to an absolute must win as you could have at this stage of the season for Penn State. They need that Rec Hall magic in a big way, and they need it to kickstart a run where they start winning these close games. Again, what has been so frustrating is it feels like they could be on such a roll right now where it's like, man, can you believe they are just storming through the Big Ten? Outside of the Illinois game, they have had a real shot going into the final couple of minutes of each of these games. And in, the last couple and really probably 4 of the last 6, they've had a real shot in the final minute and in a couple of cases in the final seconds to pull it out. And, there's a couple of things that obviously Puff Johnson's injury and Ace Baldwin, Goon, he is obviously not 100%. I don't know how you quantify where he's at, what percentage, but that dude is so special when he is healthy and playing the way he's capable of. And he's just not, he's played very well considering everything. It's amazing, and they need his heart and all of that out there. But boy, it is frustrating because over the years, it just feels like this program, every time it is on the cusp of something spectacular, injuries seem to figure their way in. And this is over decades now of Penn State basketball, with a couple of notable exceptions, like literally 2 years that you're like, all right, that played out pretty well. They've had some other years where I think something special's happening here. Oh no, never mind, injury, that guy's out. I'm not ready to give up on this year being a special year, but man, it's frustrating because a healthy Ace Baldwin and a Puff Johnson, like, again, he can't guarantee that they're winning these last 2 games, but they're winning these last 2 games. They are.
Last night,
I don't know. It's just tough.
Up
it's
4
tough.
or 5 points that late in the game, and then they go down, get 9-0 run to end the game. The last, minute and a half of the game.
Well,
that was horrible. It just hurt.
The thing that was
But then they
inexplicable.
came back so many times from down 5, 7, 3. It's just like you do that, and you get up your 4 or 5 points, and then
Penn State has been the best turnover team in the Big Ten. Michigan has been the worst. And it was like they completely flipped the rules last night, inexplicably. Like it just now Michigan deserves credit for some of the turnovers, but man, some of them Goon. It's like what are you doing?
That one hurt.
What are you doing?
Hurt a lot. You got to come back from
Michigan did a great job of taking care of the ball, and certainly down the stretch made the plays they needed to. It just
we had 2 shots to win that game. 2 shots.
Well, and I think this is a crucial coaching week for Mike Rhodes and that staff, because Goon, it is really easy with the way this thing is slipping right now. They need
to lose them,
to understand that is now history. And man, everything that these guys thought they might be able to do at the start of the season is still in front of them. But they have got to find a way to win, to close these games out, to win these close games, and they have got to get on a roll. Easy to say, yep, put the Iowa game behind you, put the Michigan game behind you. They have to. And they have to go out and understand the importance of just each of these games now. The 1-0 mentality. They have to adopt that and follow through. They've got to find a way to be 1-0 in the majority of the games here over the next few weeks. And they have that opportunity. I mean, this is, relatively speaking, an easier part of the schedule. I'm not going to say this is an easy part of the schedule, but easier. And again, I think if they can keep their confidence, if they can get Ace feeling, a little better, maybe each successive week here, and healed up, like they still have a chance to do some special things. But they've got to get on a roll. They got to get a streak going the other way here. And to me, it really has to start Thursday night. You can't let this opportunity at Rec Hall, with all of the special significance behind that, you can't let this one slip away.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, it's got all the markings of like a must-win game, like you just said, but you never want to say that this time of the season, but it's a damn must-win, man. It is that was a tough one to come back from, and then backing that up with the Iowa game, the Rutgers game, it's just frustrating. But you're right; it's been going on, like we talked about before the show. This is now 3-4 coaches now, where it's like the same thing. It's like we're getting to that point where it's like we just can't kick the door open. Now you're playing in the best conference in the freaking league in the country. Excuse me.
Yeah,
I mean there's 18 damn good teams playing in this conference, so. You're right. It is all still there. It is all still there to go out and do what you can, make a nice run, get in the NCAA playoffs and stuff, and into the tournament. It's what you want. That hurt last night a lot because it was there, and it was there, and it's just hurting. But knowing how our guys played last year when they played at Rec Hall against Illinois and upset Illinois that night, because I was there, they need that tomorrow night, Thursday night. They really, really, truly need this game on Thursday night. So let's go, boys. Let's get it done.
Yeah, and they've got to get Yannickona Niederhauser just needs to learn when to not risk getting a cheap foul. Like it's just some subtle little things that he's got to learn.
Game,
all right,
I like his game.
His game is amazing. I just don't think he hasn't been able to fully tap into the potential yet that he has. And part of it is just kind of knowing, again, that when you don't need to contest everything. You know when to, all right, we're going to let that one go. Yep, they got that rebound, knowing just kind of how and when to take it up a notch and when to play it a little cautious so that you're not getting yourself in foul trouble. All right, we're going to take a break here. Lots more coming up in the final segment. It is the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates, Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
We are back here at Quaker Steak and Lube as we get you set for, well, we got the big game coming up a week from Sunday. We've got the big dual meet coming up Friday night at the Jordan Center, a critical basketball game coming up Thursday night at Rec Hall.
Nice little week.
And yes, and we have the ever-changing landscape and world of intercollegiate athletics. Word last week, the Cleveland State dropping its wrestling program along with a couple of women's sports, and been reading few different articles on the likelihood of how this is going to shake out a bit on the college athletic landscape. It does seem, I think most are now convinced that we are heading to many fewer Olympic sports programs being offered at the Division I or highest level. And what is not as clear just yet is the number of schools that are going to remain all in on football and basketball. And I think that's going to be, all of it is going to be hard to watch and follow if you are a longtime college sports fan and liked it the way we did growing up. It is such a different world. Now, again, whether or not it is the end of college sports as we know it, whether or not that is a horrible thing, just the way it is, actually a good thing, man, that is debatable. And there are folks debating that and will be debating that for years to come. It is definitely a different world. We're still trying to figure out, there will be parameters put onto it. What is still not known is what those parameters are and how it's going to affect the different elements in the landscape. And that, to me, Goon, is still the thing I'm most curious about. Like, do all of the Big Ten schools still remain Big Ten schools, or whatever the conference
you're just talking
alignments end up? Football, basketball, yes.
Football and basketball, or football or basketball?
And or basketball.
Because there's a little bit of me is like, okay, well, what is Penn State going to do? They have a basketball program that's never really won. Do they go out and say, okay, we're going to go all in on this basketball program? I don't know what to say. I don't know. I believe as me and Booch were talking last week about, there's probably 10, 12 teams that have won a national title and in football and basketball for the same school. There's really not that many.
No.
I mean, you got, I know that Florida had done it, Michigan had done it. But North Carolina's never won a football. UCLA's never won a football. USC's never won a basketball. So we have our bigger, now the thing is that, yeah, I get it. We want the Big Ten conferences. We have our 18 teams in there. It's great. Unbelievable. Yeah. But Northwestern, Purdue, Rutgers, Maryland, are they willing to go all in on football? And, and then are some of the teams in the Big Ten, the lesser knowns, are going to go all in on basketball? I mean, is it you're either all in on both, or can you pick and choose your conferences, your sports that you want to compete at that big level at? I don't know. I mean, again, I guess we do have to get it off our chest. The two jobs I don't want in this world are James Franklin and Ben and Pat Chris. So that's our new. We're talking wrestling. Got to do a shot. That's the new one. So, I mean, what does Northwestern do? I mean, their football team, are they ever going to be competitive for a national title, for a playoff? I don't know. Basketball, they can compete every once in a while. They're there. Do they want to go all in? I mean, they're an outlier in the Big Ten. I think with the academics that they have. They could just say, we don't have to have any sports.
Yeah, the thing with that, and you look at a program like Stanford, where the Northwestern, outstanding in field hockey, great in. So do you
lacrosse?
Those sports don't exist without football and football in the Big Ten. So I don't know.
We just got dropped a ton of numbers in the last couple of days. Do you recall what I'm talking about? And it was like there was media rights, it was television, it was all over the place. And I don't know what exactly it was. And I may have probably just confused the living hell out of you by saying it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Sorry, because something came out where Tangwell had put on, it's all. If everybody thinks that we all get the same amount of money for television rights and media rights is different because like the numbers. And somebody put up a thing where, what each sport costs. I believe it was Penn State. What football brings in, what basketball brings in, and then how much each sport actually takes money from the university, from what football makes and basketball makes and stuff like that. Now, you guys are self-sufficient in wrestling, right?
No, there's no football and men's basketball are the only sports that are.
But isn't the wrestling club help you guys subsidize a lot of the scholarship monies or anything? They're going to have to with going to 30 scholarships from 9-9. Hockey they're self-sufficient. That's the one I'm thinking because of Pagula. And they have their own arena. They're not paying to rent an arena, right? Is that what the big difference is? Where Penn State women's basketball rents Bryce Jordan Center? No, I'll bite my tongue on that one. I know I don't want to get in on that one, but I can't believe that. But it was some comments, and some people were talking about how much each sport costs against the athletic budget, and it is really crazy, man. Football does run. So you're right. Like Northwestern doesn't have a women's lacrosse team or a women's field hockey team. A men's, basketball, they'd be okay. They don't have a women's basketball team, maybe. I don't know if they don't have football. And they're not the greatest team in the world, nor have they ever been the greatest team in the world. But they still get a check every year from the Big Ten. So, that's crazy, man. It's really nuts.
A lot of things that need to be sorted out. And even, you get into these discussions about what's fair or what's right. And I think that even gets complicated, Goon, because a basketball roster with 15 players on it, well, you divide, 500,000 among those players versus, 5 million among a 105-man roster in college football. So, this sport's bringing in this much money. Each player, do you do it by player? Do you do it by program? There's so many different elements that I think need to be worked out and figured out, both from, the standpoint of the conferences, the schools, and I still keep coming back to it. We still don't know how the player representation is going to be worked out.
Who's speaking for them is our question.
And so it's going to be wild. It's going to be a wild next couple of years. Real quickly, did want to just mention our local schedule here for the week with our high school coverage. We will have high school wrestling tonight, starting at 7 o'clock. We'll have Bald Eagle area taking on the winner of a match that will occur at 5:30 between River Valley and Marion Center. So the winner of that match will, starting at 7 or thereabouts, will take on Bald Eagle area tonight. That is in the District 6 AA Team Dual Championships.
Wow.
And then tomorrow night we'll have a double header and a little special programming note here tomorrow. So normally we have Jed Donahue's show with the Pennsylvania Sports Network, which, like today, will run after ours from 4 to 6. Tomorrow, it's just going to run 4 to 5. We're going to skip out of the second hour for two reasons. First, Landon Tengwall will have a special Behind the Wall edition of his program from 5 to 5:30 tomorrow evening, where he will be talking with Penn State women's volleyball national champion Caroline Juravicius, the daughter, of course, of Penn State alum and wide receiver Joe Juravicius. So that'll be should be a really good interview tomorrow. That'll be from 5 to 5:30. And then at 5:30, we'll head to Spring Mills. Todd and Norm Brown will have a wrestling doubleheader for you first. We'll have Phillipsburg Osceola against Moshannon Valley in the opening round of the District 6 team dual championships. And then in the semifinals, it'll be Penns Valley facing the winner of that Phillipsburg-Osceola Shannon Valley match. So again, our coverage will start at 5:30. We'll have the Phillipsburg-Osceola Shannon Valley match, and then at 7 or thereabouts, we'll have the winner of that match taking on Penns Valley, the number 1 seed in the District 6 tournament. And then on Saturday, time to be determined and location to be determined, but we will have the finals and likely the true second place match as well for the District 6 AA championships, working to make sure we provide updates. State College will be in action on Saturday as well in the AAA tournament. Little Lions will face the number 1 seed Central Mountain down in Lock Haven. That'll be at noon. And then if State High wins, they'll be in the championship match at 2. It's an interesting matchup there, too. Central Mountain obviously favored as the number 1 seed, but definitely a path there for the Little Lions to win. They need to pull a couple of upsets, but we've seen that happen really pretty consistently here over the second half of the season, where State High has been able to get some big wins from different guys in the lineup. So we're working to make sure we at least have updates of the State College match on, or potentially matches on Saturday as well for you here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Lots going on here. Fun time of the year. Week. Yeah, this is a fun time of the year. Hopefully, Penn State basketball makes it even more fun. This is going to be a really fun few weeks, really, for Penn State wrestling. They have Iowa again Friday night, then they'll host Michigan at the Jordan Center again the following week, and then a couple of road duels against Ohio State and Illinois that following weekend. So really kind of the meat of the Big Ten schedule here for the Nittany Lions. And, knock on wood here, Penn State has really had a remarkable season from the health standpoint. I mean, there's been some sickness, but really no injuries to speak of. I mean, Braden Davis had the knee injury that's still bothering him, I think, a little bit if you watch him wrestle, but I don't think it's, impacting him much. And really outside of that, to this point, this team has been fortunate. And listen, I think also you give the training staff and the strength and conditioning staff a lot of credit here, because that is not an easy thing to do in a sport like wrestling. But really big opportunity here Friday night, and just it is going to be a fun one.
So I'm sitting there, Jeff. I'm sitting there like saying, you know what? Friday's Valentine's Day. We're going away. Carrie's having her 9th niece or nephew this weekend, so we're going to go up and see them. So she's getting introduced tomorrow. So I was like, we'll do Thanksgiving Day Thursday night. The whole Friday will be a rush for Valentine's Day, plus it being Penn State Iowa wrestling, 18,000 mutants in town. So I was like, we'll go to dinner Thursday. Now I find out that the hoops is playing at Rec Hall. So
Valentine's Day isn't for a couple of weeks.
Oh Jesus, that's next weekend.
It's 2 weekends.
All right. You're right. We were trying to do it this week because I'm going to be down in Florida. Sorry.
You're throwing me for a loop. I'm like, wait
I
a
just
second.
got really
what
lost
is...
right there. Yeah, so we were going to try, and then I'm like sitting there. I was like, we got Rec Hall Thursday night, so probably not the best night to go out there early evening and stuff like that, because we are going to her hometown, and then I'm going to Florida next weekend for the Super Bowl. Yes, sorry. I apologize.
I am glad that they keep doing the return to rec games, and I think getting those opportunities to have wrestling in the Jordan Center, basketball at Rec Hall, I think it does add just an extra element of excitement for the fans, and really I think for the athletes as well. I think the basketball team looks forward to having that opportunity in Rec Hall. And I know the wrestling team looks forward to having the opportunity to compete at the Jordan Center. And, the Jordan Center folks have it down to a
pyrotechnics alone.
It is. They have the show component down now. I mean, it really is. It is a fun show when Penn State Wrestling goes over to the Jordan Center.
Will they go white out?
Looking forward to that. I think they are encouraging fans to wear white.
Are they going white?
I don't know. They will probably not even let the kids know that until Friday.
But what about how do they let Iowa know? Doesn't matter. You guys can have the same dark colors.
Well,
does Iowa always wrestle in black?
Yeah.
Always?
Yeah.
We always wrestle in white or always wrestle in blue?
Well,
always?
Usually in the blue singlets, yeah.
Well, I think about it. You're right. I didn't think about the home and away thing, but I've seen them in white, but then, all right.
Yeah, very rarely. But yeah.
Two things I want
They've
back.
Broken out the black and pink singlets before, too.
Correct. What's your feel on that? People ask me that.
I like it, but
no, I'm saying with football.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I was actually probably one of the madder people that against SMU we're wearing our history throwbacks, uniforms and stuff like that. Celebration of decades and all. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I just thought Penn State, man, just go out there, roll it out there and play Penn State. But I would not mind a pink and black game. That being the original school colors, because there is a history of that, and obviously with breast cancer awareness and stuff like that, and what we do for fun, I would never be against that. Having our football players in pink and black uniforms and stuff like that, just for one game a year, one game. And I know it changes up everything and stuff like that, and people can say that's not Penn State, but it is. We're helping Penn State alumni and all that stuff with the cancer stuff, so I'd be okay with that. People always ask me that, and I'm like, well, would I want to change the uniform? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because my thing with this playoffs was, I mean, I was having a conversation with people. I'm like, turn the TV on right now. And they're like, and I'm like, Ohio State is in all red. But who is that? And they're like, oh, that's Ohio State. I'm like, because you just saw it. You should be able to turn the television on, not look at the name, not look at anything other than the uniform and say, that's Alabama, USC. That's UCLA, Penn State.
Yeah.
You know, I love that about our programs and stuff like that. That's going back to football stuff. So yes, I would not be against a Penn State football, pink and black throwback game type of thing, color wise.
I'm with you. I think it'd be fun.
Did you see the hockey jerseys that are up for auction right now? They've been up for auction the last 10 days. They're the CMH. They're the Congressional Medal of Honor in honor of Michael Murphy.
Yeah,
absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I think they all went. They all went for. I think the cheapest one was about $500 because they started off at $250, and I was like, "Ooh, I might jump on one if they had one of the kids' name was Oglethorpe, I would have bought it. Ogie Oglethorpe, but they didn't have one of them. But I also, if there was a 53 jersey, I would have rocked that one too. So yeah, but the last one, I think that the cheapest one I saw was about $500, and this was 3 days ago. So I don't know what they're at right now, but really, really cool uniforms.
Yes. No, they were, and that hockey team is getting on a roll here. I think as a young team, and I think they are figuring some things out as the season goes along. Kind of sticking with the system, and it's been exciting. This was a wild weekend. If you were at Pagola. Shootout victory on Friday night, and then the overtime win on Saturday. That is
top
fun
10
drama
ranked
when you come out
Ohio
on top.
State.
Yep. No, they really have. They've put some things together here. Good goaltending. Women's hockey team is having a spectacular season.
They are the top
in its own right, and women's gymnastics getting back into the top 20 here. Not a great meet against Rutgers, got the job done. But they've been having a good season. Men's gymnastics, when they get everybody in there, when they're healthy, that's going to be a pretty doggone special team.
Nice.
As well. And Penn State's right there in the Learfield Directors Cup standings, third, coming out of the fall sports season, of course, highlighted by the women's volleyball team's national championship and the football team's Final Four. appearance. All right, let's circle back to where we started, Goon. Your excitement level, and I know we've got a long way to go.
I can't let it get to me yet.
Yes, the
excitement level for this game, for the Super Bowl, obviously, is the Birds making it, obviously, but the feeling that it's the Eagles' game to lose. I mean, I know they're not the points favorite, but the way they played the other day, they put 55 freaking points up in an NFC title game.
Very, very impressive. I mean,
and they have run through everybody they have gone against. So, literally and figuratively, ran through them.
Excitement level for Penn State football next year, Goon, right now is where for you?
Off charts. It's very good. I mean, we were bought in last year pretty good. We had that feeling 2 years ago. We were really locked in, and then last year I was very skeptical. But then I'm looking at the schedule and looking at how everything worked out. And then as upset as we were about the Final Four loss to Notre Dame, because it was a win that we should have won, we didn't. They won that game. I wouldn't say that we lost, but they won it. I got to give Notre Dame a little bit of credit for that. But,
yeah, I do think Penn State had a chance to go take it, and they didn't.
And I watched the Ohio State game, and I was just thinking to myself, did we have the ability to go score two touchdowns in the passing game versus them, because we weren't going to score them in the running game. So I'm okay with that. But when all those guys started coming back, and then I don't know who it was. I think I know I was thinking it, and then somebody had said it on Twitter, maybe Buccignani, when he said it's eerily similar to the 86 and 87, 85, 86 Fiesta, Orange Bowl Fiesta Bowl. When, what was it, 25 seniors, 50-year seniors came back. They had a meeting before the season and said, hey, we're coming back here. We got unfinished business. That they lost to Oklahoma in the national title game, being the number one team, losing to Oklahoma. They all made the decision, you know what, 7 or 8 of them could have gone to the NFL. And they said, no, we're going to stay in one more year. We'll make one more run at this thing. And then it was unbelievable watching what they did in 86. Obviously, you know what they did, and defensively, and it was pretty damn awesome. And it's very similar to what I'm seeing right now with the coaches and the players all buying in, and there's a buzz about it.
Quarterback.
The quarterback being in, our running backs, our offensive line there. Absolutely. And the quarterback being from Cincinnati, or an Ohio quarterback who had a really bad, I'm not going to say he had a bad, he didn't have a great final game of the season. John Schaefer had a really, really bad game against Oklahoma in 85. You recall they were polling everybody, and Matt Kisner was the second coming of Christ. He should have been the starting quarterback in 1987, but Joe stuck to his guns, and he went and won. We won a national title. So I have that same feeling with the offensive line. Yes, I want that beautiful, shiny new Cadillac outside, aka a nice wide receiver. But if that doesn't happen, I'm sure we can make something happen out of it. But replacing Tyler Warren is hard. But I think there's a couple guys in that room right now who can fill in. They're not going to take his place. No one's going to take his place for a long time. I actually think that Tyler Warren was better than Kyle Brady.
As an all-around tight end,
utilized absolutely amazing.
He just might.
I think Kyle, if Kyle didn't have the receivers that we did, he probably would have had the Tyler Warren type numbers. So.
I think that's probably true.
That's a good one.
Real quick, I just did want to mention too. So. Again, I was very skeptical about Jim Knowles or Al Golden being really serious candidates. Kudos to Penn State for getting Jim Knowles in here as defensive coordinator. Very exciting. It does remind me of when Troy Sunderland was let go and Penn State was looking for his wrestling coach. I had a national columnist call me. It's like, who do you think it could be? I'm like, listen, it could be anybody out there. Obviously Tom Brands at Iowa not coming here, John Smith at Oklahoma State not coming here, and Cale Sanderson at Iowa State not coming here. But anybody outside of those three, it could be anybody. And a week later, Cale Sanderson, thankfully,
prognosticators,
as head coach of the Nittany Lions. Folks, we will be back again on Thursday. Until then, be good and be
Coast
safe.
Into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXS, once again, your sports radio.
Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America.
98.7, the Fox State